And we are live. And hello, everyone. It's me, LBT, once again. And welcome back to another LBT live stream. And I hope you're all doing good. And you guys may ask, where have you been throughout the past days? Well, chances are I decided to do something outside of my YouTube channel, and I decided to do a lot of things. And sorry it took so long because I had a lot of things going on around here, especially with workouts and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I decided to take a break from YouTube and do something. And now that I'm back, decided to do another live stream, another LBT live stream. And like I said earlier, I don't do live streams as much as I do back around in 2022 and 2023, and even with the late 2021. But for why, for what I can tell, I decided to take time whenever I'm doing live streams. But at least I got other things going on. And not to mention, yeah, my dino characters are there. I didn't bring all of them, but I decided to bring the ones I can, like this Tyrannosaurus, the Dino Tracker's Tyrannosaurus, the Velociraptor from Dinosaur, which, if you've seen the video, and the Mantracanthosaurus, and all the other dinos around here. But I'm just going to put the camera angle there, so yeah, there you are, and not to mention, I also heard that Walking with Dinosaurs, the series Walking with Dinosaurs, is turning 25 years old. So happy 25th anniversary to Walking with Dinosaurs, the series that started its own legacy with its characters, the story, and the dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures going on. And because I decided to rewatch Walking with Dinosaurs series, and for what I can tell, it is really, really, really amazing and really nostalgic for my childhood. And yes, I know that Speckles the Tarbosaurus is turning 12 years old, which don't have time to do all that, which I might make another video on that if I have time, but right now we're talking about Walking with Dinosaurs and why it's turning 25. And yeah, the series that made me fall in love with dinosaurs as much as other dinosaur media. Films like Dinosaur, the Dino King franchise, Dino Dan, Dino Dana, the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, and even with superhero medias like Power Rangers Dino Thunder, Power Rangers Dino Charge, and Power Rangers Dino Fury, as well as other things with dinosaurs. I mean, everything with dinosaurs that I love and still love to this day. And there's a pretty good reason why. So, if you want me to show it, then here it goes. There. BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs, BBC Earth, and happy 25th anniversary Walking with Dinosaurs. Yeah, pretty amazing, and I like the cover art of Walking with Dinosaurs. I actually like the cover arts. I mean, it looks amazing and so creative, and of making a creative artwork, and even the texturing is pretty nice. So, oh, and looks like I got visitors along the way. It's not just me that's doing a podcast, but I'm also going to do a podcast with a good friend of mine who's a big fan of Walking with Dinosaurs, and he's a huge Walking with Dinosaurs fan more than I am. I'm a fan with other dino medias, especially with the movies and TV and all that stuff. But hey, hello, Krill Studios. Thanks for popping in. And voila, Tyrannotherium, my big Walking with Dinos Tyrannosaur fan. And it's great to have you back. And I decided to pop in for your Q&A stream where you're doing, and it was actually pretty nice and pretty fun and pretty amazing. And gotcha, just in time. And
Hello, LBT.
hello, Tyrannotherium.
Hello there.
Well,
So, we're here to talk about my favorite dinosaur documentary, Walking with Dinosaurs.
yep. And no offense about that, yep stuff, but I'm just gonna say that, yeah, I decided to do this Walking with Dinosaurs podcast today instead of the weekend because, yeah, I was originally going to do it tomorrow, but why not stop by but today? But hey, it's worth a shot.
Hey, it is what it is because tomorrow I'm interviewing a friend of mine. So, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, it's going to be my third interview. But, anyways, yeah, Walking with Dinosaurs, the way how I started. Well, when I was a kid, my babysitter actually recorded the Walking with Dinosaurs Discovery Channel version on VHS, like way back in the day. And that's how I got into Walking with Dinosaurs. So it wasn't the BBC version, it was the Discovery Channel version. As a matter of fact,
Oh, that's nice.
I have the VHSs with me. I gotta find them.
Holy cow.
It's gonna give me some time. Oh, there they are. And you probably saw them in my community tab, right, LBT?
I think I might check them out as soon as I'm done with this. Oh yeah, those VHS tapes, man, they look really awesome, man.
Yeah, she did part 1 and part 2 of Walking with Dinosaurs. Unfortunately, though, she didn't record the Spirits of the Ice Forest scene. She only recorded like the beginning and at the very end of it. Like she recorded the Koolasuchus grabbing the dead Leonosaura, and the Leonosaurs were fighting. That was actually in the beginning of that scene, not the BBC version. And she also and of course that she recorded the and the part she recorded the Carnosaurs, or in this case the Polar Allosaurs, or now they're called Australonuvinators, as we now know, that were eating the Monteburosaurus. It's a long story. How? Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, it's a long story how my babysitter recorded them and stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, the only walk. I think I have to agree with you that the Discovery Channel version is where I started making love with the Walking with Dinosaur stuff. It's
Oh,
not just the one with Kenneth Branagh.
yeah. It's Avery Brooks. That's the narrator. Matter of fact,
Oh yeah,
I do like Kenneth.
Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, thank you. Kenneth Branagh's narration, and he did a really good job with Avery Brooks. But I do respect Avery Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, if yeah, out of all the Walking with Dinosaurs narrators, I I think Kenneth Branagh does pull it off and does do a really good job telling the narration, especially with the storytelling of all these dinosaur characters are doing this and that, and then something happens and all that. I
Yeah.
mean, it was really amazing, and
And what's interesting is that they did a really good job with the behavior of these animals.
yeah, not just dinosaurs that we see from the movies, but characters doing their own thing. Like,
Yeah.
for the example, a herd of Diplodocus is walking by in this background stuff, which is actually kind of nice. And the baby Diplodocus is running and trying to find cover for protection. And not to mention, a Stegosaurus was trying to fight off an Allosaurus, which is one of my favorite scenes throughout the entire Walking with series. And even with the swarm of Coelophythuses are just walking past to the puddle and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I did like in the first episode of New Blood, I like how they had a single dinosaur, well, two coelophyses, and then there was another, and then another, and then another, showing that the next ape, the next generation of the prehistoric world of the Triassic period, which is pretty interesting. Um, I also love the Postosuchus design, and I like how I love its sound. The sound is pretty cool. The Posterius was a pretty cool as well. I like how it was. They were like do one scene that they were like in a watering hole doing like a mud bath, or not really a mud bath, but like they were like in a river for protection or something. And then we cut off with the Postosuchus. And then they show that that Postosuchus is not an invincible apex predator because it paid the ultimate price. Posterius gave her a nasty wound.
Oh yeah. So that's how the Pulsasukas end up getting injured, not just
Yeah,
from the Coelophytes, but from the Placerius. Man,
yeah,
that's terrifying and kind
yeah.
of brutal.
And then later on, the male Postosuchus shows up and and takes over her territory. And then later on, she passes away.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah,
Really, really sad.
but it actually shows that apex predators are not invincible. We also see this in Death of the Dynasty at the end of the episode with the mother Tyrannosaurs. We also saw in Giant
Ballad. Oh
Sky
yeah, Ballad of
oh,
Big Al.
and Cruel Sea
Oh,
as well.
my bad.
That they showed that Leopleurodon is not the invincible marine reptile. Every it shows that the climate, the waves kill. I mean, are can destroy this animal.
Oh, is it Cruelty that you're talking about?
Yes,
Because
and
yeah,
we'll see. And yes, we all know that Leopleurodon is not larger than we thought. It was less larger. It was around 30 to 40 feet long and around 8 to 10 tons. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and I was about to point out about the Ballad of Big Al, where the Allosaurus named Al, where he started out as a juvenile and then learns how to become an adolescent, and then ends up getting killed off by a lot of things
Yeah.
throughout the series.
Yeah.
Which by the way, the Ballad of Big Al is one of my favorite out of the Walking With series, outside of Chased by Dinosaurs, because Chased by Dinosaurs is one of my favorite ones in the Walking With series. I know it's part of the Walking With franchise, but that's just me though.
It is part of the Walking With franchise, but I do like the Big Al special, but more of that later. Um Overall, like what's interesting about the Walking with Dinosaurs is story. Story is the most important thing that we know of, because Walking with Dinosaurs had a really good story, because it shows of the behavior of dinosaurs and other creatures of the Mesozoic era, like the marine reptiles and the pterosaurs and stuff.
Yeah,
And then
and
shows that, you know, we some of the characters we get to see them, some of them as invincible, to some of them that are a sad corpse, like the giant of the skies with the Ornithochirus, now called Trotheonathus, which I am aware, but
yeah,
it shows that he became the king of the skies to a sad, lonely corpse.
yeah,
End of the
and uh, and honestly, the soundtrack of the Giant of the Skies was kind of tear jerking, and it kind of brings me to tears, especially how the Ornithochirus ends up dying,
yeah.
and it makes me feel sad and wants to cry, especially when I lose half of my friends and half of the family members that I have and half of this and that and all that stuff.
Yeah, but
And
yeah,
but
and it was a really sad scene. Even like when I'm in a depressed mood, I do play that sad soundtrack at times. Yeah, because we get to see our main character. His main goal was to be in the mating grounds, but unfortunately, he was too late and he was too old and he died, and that is the cycle of life. Sometimes, when you get old, you don't succeed. And that is the law of nature.
Yeah. Kind of feel bad for that Ornithochirus.
Indeed.
Oh, and yeah. And speaking of sad scenes, where Al the Allosaurus trips over a log after chasing those Dryosauruses, and one of and that one thing entered inside Alice's foot, which is really hurtful and painful.
Yeah.
How did that wound get inside Al's foot? Like, and it did make me feel sad when watching this. I also cried in that scene too, where Al was like dying and he's
Yeah.
not alive anymore and all that stuff, which
It
kind of reminds me of the Spinosaur death scene from Planet Dinosaur, which that is also sad too. But back to the Ballad of Big Al.
Yeah, that was also a sad scene as well because Al died very young. He was a mature adolescent when he died. Um and it also showed that he was in a lot of situations, like when we saw the hunt scene, the Allosaurus hunt scene. um his ribs were shattered, or well, he actually had a concussion or whatever. Also, when he had a fight with the female, his ribs, were slashed. And then later on in the fight, well, not in the fight, but later on in the hunt scene, he paid another ultimate price, and this time it was more serious.
Yeah, yeah, pretty brutal, especially for a young Allosaur.
Yeah.
And And speaking of Giant of the Skies, one of my favorite moments is where a herd of iguanodon are just walking past nearby. One that is North American one, and one that is a European species one. Because
Yeah.
out of all the iguanodon species I've seen, I picked the North American one as my absolute favorites. And I know that they renamed it to Dakota but I'm just gonna stick with the North American iguanodon. But
Yeah, the Cotodon is a species of iguanodon, and it was found in North America. Iguanodon itself was found in England. Um,
and Europe.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, England and Europe are the same, you know.
yeah, I know.
Um, what also was weird is that Utah Raptor was there in Europe, which was very weird. According to Dr. Jim Kirtland, in the Discovery Channel version, he said in an interview that Utah Raptor would have migrated from North America all the way down to England, well, to Scandinavia, without getting its feet wet. However, there's no evidence of that for sure, but there are dromaeosaurs during that time when Iguanodon was around, but the real predators were Baryonyx and, of course, Nuvinator.
Yeah, and not to mention, I also heard that iguanodon has been found around in Germany.
Yep, Iguanodon is one of the most adaptable dinosaurs ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
And
even its family, even its own,
yeah.
the family of iguanodons like Decododon, um, the South American iguanodon from the Walking with Dinosaurs special.
Oh,
Uh,
is it Chased by Dinosaurs with the
yeah,
one with the
yeah,
Giganotosaurus and the Argentinosaurus and
yeah, yeah, that's the one. Nigel Marlin did say that iguanodons are the most successful dinosaurs ever.
no wonder why they think that iguanodon has been found around in every other continent except for Antarctica. Which, if you look at the Dinotopia of Dinosaur, the kid narrator says that iguanodon has been found around in every other continent except for Antarctica, which I slightly agree because I don't know if iguanodon has been found around in every other continent, but I think I might find out for sure. But
Well, not iguanodon itself, but the family iguanodontids.
yeah, like that.
Yeah,
And back to the iguanodons from Walking with Dinosaurs, the North
yeah.
American one.
I do like the color design. Especially, I do like. It's hard to say really. I either like the green one or the Decododon. They're both equal in my opinion, but
Yeah,
I do like the green texture for some reason. And as a kid, I thought that the Utah Raptors had feathers because of those black pigments, well, those black spots that they had. But it actually turns out Utah Raptor, they did not put feathers on the Utah Raptor because of budget regions, which would make logical sense. But we
yeah.
know that Dromaeosaurs had feathers like Velociraptor.
Yeah, and I also heard that in the movie Dinosaur that they're gonna add Utah Raptor in the movie, but for some reason they did not add a Utah Raptor, but instead they replaced it with Velociraptor and all that stuff. Like if you're gonna add if you did it with the Carnotaur from Dinosaur, why not do the same thing for the Raptors? I'm just saying, but
Yeah, but back to the Walking with series. Well, Walking.
yeah. Sorry if I'm off topic with all that stuff, but
Yeah,
just want to show you this Velociraptor real
yeah.
quick.
Um, yeah. So, and then when we get to Gastonia, the Nodosaur, Gastonia. I mean, there's no evidence of Polocanthids or Polocanthus was found in that region. I mean, was not found with iguanodon herds, but it um, probably would have just minded its own business. But who knows?
Yeah, I like Gastonia. It's one of my favorite Nodosaur dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and yeah, on point with Penoplosaurus and some other Nodosaur dinosaur species. But
yeah. Not Gaston. Well, in the Discovery Channel version, when it was with Dakota, the narrator did say that it was Gastonia, but then in Europe it was Polacanthus, but in the BBC one it was just Polacanthus. Yeah, um, yeah. So Polacanthus is a pretty cool animal, and I actually do have
yeah,
the figure of the Polacanthus from
I actually, yeah,
Dinosaurs.
I actually like the Polacanthus in the series. I mean, it was actually kind of cool and looks kind of well. I might show you the dinosaur throughout the picture, but in picture form when I'm playing the walking with. There it is. I'm gonna stop by and hold it. My bad. Ah, I'm gonna stop by. There. Okay. There. The Polacanthus here.
Same with mine figure.
Hmm. And cool Polacanthus you got there. And sorry it took so long. I just wanted to
Yeah.
show the dinosaur in the actual picture. Like that.
Ooh, Lord.
Which
Dear Lord.
actually,
Thank
sorry.
God. Um, and I also have the Allosaurus.
Holy cow. Man, that's a cool Allosaurus you got there.
It has no arms though,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I ripped its arms out back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what happened with my cousin when he had a toy Allosaur figure that was like the Lost World one, and for some reason he tore off two of the arms and made it like a Tyrannosaurus and all that, which is kind of silly.
Yeah,
And when I was like
but
12 years
it
old, I
is.
thought it was like a Carnotaurus, but turns out I was actually wrong. It was actually an Allosaurus from the Lost World series because
Yeah, but back to the review. Well, the Walking with Dinosaurs. Yeah,
yeah,
so
walking with dinosaurs.
Walking with Dinosaurs. Despite that being inaccurate at times, story wise, it is pretty good. But let's talk about the inaccuracies that some of the creatures were never found at the time. Um, for example, design wise, Postosuchus should have been more of a biped. We now know that some of the Suisuskians, like Postosuchus, walked on two legs. Um,
Yeah.
Coelophysis may or may not had feathers. There's no evidence of proven that it did. Placerius was indeed one of the last of the ancient synapsids, the quote unquote mammal like reptiles. And we know that the cynodonts were around during that time. Um, and also, we know that now sauropodomorphs like Plateosaurus were not quadrupeds, they walked on two legs. Um, and then later on, as they evolved, they walked on four legs. We know now. Let's go back and also the Patinosaurus, the small pterosaur in
They
the
should have hair
pig,
like filaments.
well, yeah, pygnofibers. Now when we get to the Jurassic period, the time of Titans, um, the Diplodocus, um, although there is no evidence of Diplodocus having spines on their backs, but there is proof because they are, so I'll give them a pass. The Allosaurus, its arms are pronated. They also know that what's weird is that their crests look very weird looking.
Yeah, they.
Luckily,
Yeah,
luckily,
that's what I was talking about the Allosaurus. Like the Allosaurus's face, like it looks a lot like a Carnotaur rather than Allosaur like.
yeah,
Which,
it
to be
sort
fair,
of
the Ballad of
does
Big
ish.
Rock managed to get that accurately.
Yeah, in Ballad of Big Rock, even though that the Allosaurus is still inaccurate because Allosaurus jamesoni had much more of a narrow snout, but we now know that but anyways, but they did change the crest design, but luckily but in Walking with Dinosaurs the crests look very weird looking. We also know that Stegosaurus looks pretty good. Um I did like how they portrayed the Stegosaurus like it panicked when it saw the baby Diplodocus because sometimes herbivores do kill each other. You know, sometimes if it's either by accident or mistakes. This Stegosaurus was panicking. He killed one of the young Diplodocus. We
Yeah,
also
and
know that
yeah,
the Stegosaurus would have used its place when we don't know for sure what Stegosaurus's place were for sexual display, threatening against predators, or both. We now know that maybe it could have done both, but luckily it shows that herbivores are not or
are very dangerous animals, which I totally get. And granted, I did see this in real life where many herbivore animals are just as destructive as carnivores are.
indeed like elephants, hippos, rhinos, bison,
Yeah,
etc.
buffaloes. Oh, there's even yaks, and there's even with gorillas, and even with orangutans.
Yeah. Um, what else is there? Oh, Brachiosaurus. Um, Pretty good design. It's just that it needs more muscle tissue with the neck. Um, it it I do like the coloring. Um, it's actually stated that Brachiosaurus was 70 tons. I believe that is correct. Um, it is one of the largest, probably the largest land animals of North America, but not the largest animals in the Mesozoic era. Um,
I can understand that, but
I
yeah,
also
good
like at the
point.
very end of the episode, we get to see the subadult Diplodocus. Was attacked by the Allosaurus, and then the adult comes out. The larger adult comes over and rescues the Diplodocus, which is pretty cool to see. Show our main character survived life and death. Um, and then we go to see Cruel Sea. Now, there are some inaccuracies. Leoplorodon. Yeah. Leoplorodon was not whale size. It was 40, well, it was 30 to 40 feet long, and it was around 5 to 10 tons, I believe, or 6 tons, or 6 to 10 tons. So Leoplorodon was a much more of a smaller animal as we thought. Big animal though, but just a larger animal. Um, we also what's inaccurate is that Cliptoclitus did not was not semi-aquatic. It did not climb up into rocks because it's very inaccurate. So plesiosaurs are just ocean animals, not the ones we see in the documentary. Euspectospondylus, its design looks pretty good. I don't think it's not in the same time period gap with Leoplorodon, though. Um, it is a megalosaur, which is pretty cool because we never get to see megalosaurs in other documentaries other than besides Torvosaurus from Dinosaur Revolution, but still pretty cool to see. Thommosaurs, you know, pretty cool design. Um,
Ophthalmosaurus, the ichthyosaurs that were in there, like
yeah, they also mentioned that ichthyosaurs are the oldest of marine reptiles, and that is true because they were around during the Triassic, all the way to the Jurassic and early Cretaceous period, I believe. Um, yeah, so it shows that ichthyosaurs were used to be very adaptable marine reptiles at that time. Um, and they were pretty much like the dolphins of the Mesozoic era, just with fish-like shapes.
yeah, and not like mammal-like because mammal-like creatures did not exist at that time until like in the present days or in the Cenozoic or something.
Mammals did existed. It's just that they were much smaller back then. Much.
That's what I was saying back then, but
Oh,
it's all
oh,
right.
misunderstood.
It's all right.
Um, what else is there? Yeah, so a thommosaur is. They also based on the ichthyosaur specimen that it was given live birth in. The specimen was given live birth. So yeah, ichthyosaurs did give live birth, and other reptiles did as well, like snakes and
Yeah.
and I think some species of lizard. Well, no, not lizards, just snakes. And then we get to another another inaccuracy episode, and that is the giant of the skies. Ornithochirus. We now know that this species is not Ornithochirus itself. It is Trithionathus. Trithionathus lived around 100. Let me see what episode.
Trathionathus. Yeah. Huh. That's a pretty cool animal name. Huh. I think I'm gonna get used to it. Trathionathus. But Ornithochirus, I as much as I like the Ornithochirus, but we're talking about yeah. But back to Ornithochirus, from the Walking series. It looks cool, but it's a different name of a pterosaur species, Trathionathus.
112 million years ago during the episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And also, like we mentioned, that when it migrated, we get to see the herd of the quote unquote North American iguanodons. Now, we now know that this species of iguanodon is not iguanodon, it's called Decododon. Because iguanodon itself was not found in North America, only found places in Germany and England and Scandinavia. And then the Polacanthus, which was with the North American and the European species. Um, we also know, obviously, that Utahraptor was not found in Europe. So how the hell did it get there? A time machine, or did it migrate it? Well, Jim
Where
Kirkland.
did they come from? Never seen them around before.
Exactly. But according to Dr. Jim Kirtland, like we said, well, like I said, it may have migrated into Scandinavia without, well, to North America. Well, it would have migrated to North America through to Scandinavia without getting its feet wet, which is a possibility, but still there's no evidence to proven. And then also before that, we skipped another animal, Tapejara. Good design, I have to say. Yeah. And we also know that dromaeosaurs did not hunt in packs, like not like wolves or lions, but they would have hunted in gangs like Komodo dragons and crocodilians and etc. Um, yeah. And they also need feathers. And also the pterosaurs should have pycnofibers, since we found specimens of them having pycnofibers. Um, and then moving on to spirits of the ice forest. Um, yeah, spirits of the ice forest. Back then, it was actually Australia, not Antarctica. In the Discovery Channel version, they actually went back and they corrected it, not Australia. I mean, not Antarctica. It's Australia. Um, Leonosaura should have had feathers because there is a specimen. Uh, there is a species. There's a specimen suggesting that Leonosaura may have had feathers. We also know that the quote unquote polar allosaur, or in this case the carnosaur from the Discovery Channel version, it's now pronounced Australonuvinator, which is a megaraptoran. And it
Rather
also,
than Allosaur, like.
yeah, or in this case an allosauroid. Um we also know that it should have had more of a narrow body, more of a longer claws, since megaraptorans would have pinned down their prey with their claws and their teeth. And yeah. And then we got Monteburosaurus. Monteburosaurus was one of the largest dinosaurs in Australia at that time. So yeah, and there's been speculation that would it make rumbling noises? It's tough to say, but it's a possibility. Um, and we also know that the climate of Australia was pretty cold back then. Since back then, I believe Australia and Antarctica were connected. And then after that, they split it apart. And it was covered in rainforests, like we see in the documentary.
Oh, and speaking of Giant of the Sky with the Utah Raptors, I don't think they're like pack hunters and all that stuff. I think it's more like a family, like hunting as a family, rather
Yeah.
than pack hunting and all that stuff, because there's no way animals like this could hunt in packs like something or all that type of stuff.
Well,
If it's like a
lions
family
do.
and all that stuff, then it's called a group, hunting in groups,
Well, like
rather than
well,
packs and all that.
well, like I said, it's a gang. In real life, they would not do that. But it's tough to say. Maybe it is a male and female, and a juvenile with the adults, or in this case, maybe it's with its parents. We don't
Yeah,
know.
like a family, like
Yeah.
all that type of stuff.
Yeah, but anyways, back to the episode. And Kulosuchus was a pretty good design and choices. Well, pretty good design and the coloring too. It's a giant salamander. Kulosuchus may have hunted smaller dinosaurs than it need to, and it was one of the last of the amphibians, giant amphibians at the time. Um, yeah, and then will we move on to Death of the
Death of the
Dynasty,
Dynasty.
my
Yeah,
favorite episode.
and I yeah I like the creature designs, especially with the Admonosaurs and Nectins, which I'm gonna call it Eonectins or Anectins. There's
Yeah,
there's no Anatosaur or Anatotitan, which I'm not a fan of Titan to begin with. I'm just gonna call it Nectins like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so I have, and we have to say the mammal,
Ditophodon.
yeah, Didelphodon. It did not had it was a marsupial, but it didn't look like a miniature Tasmanian tiger that's
Or like a
gray.
raccoon or badger.
Yeah, it didn't look like that. It actually had a narrow body, and it looked very almost weasel like. And I heard that it was a semi-aquatic marine mammal, I believe. And and then when we get to the Tyrannosaurus design, yes, it is inaccurate. Yes, it's shrink wrapped. Yes, the arms are pronated like all the other theropods. Yes, but it's still a pretty good design. However, it needs more muscle mass. It needs its tail needs to be more muscular,
And it needs to be longer. The tail should be a lot longer.
and it needs to be heavier because they did put it around 5 tons, which it's not the case anymore. Tyrannosaurus was more than that, 7 to 8 tons by the average specimen. Larger individuals are 9 to 10 tons, depending on the specimen. Um, yeah, and we also know that male. We don't know if females and males are larger, or we don't know if females are larger, but males should be larger because of the behavior of crocodilians and etc.
Yeah.
But and we also don't know that the Sioux specimen is a male or a female. It's been stated that it could be a male, not a female, but until we find more research.
Not to
Um,
mention that large tyrannosaur named Scotty, which is the largest one.
yeah, but there's a debate too that is this specimen a female or not.
And
Maybe
also
some
with
other
that
time.
dromaeosaur, it's basically like the Utah Raptor model, but
Yeah, it is a redesign of the Utah Raptor, but it should. But this dromaeosaur, the Hell Creek dromaeosaur, would be called
Dakota
Aquaraptor. Or
or Dakota Raptor.
Dakota Raptor wasn't found at the time.
Or
Uh,
yeah,
it,
Aqua Raptor.
yeah, Aquaraptor. So, and it also, of course, like all like Utah Raptor, it should have feathers since dromaeosaurs had feathers. The Ankylosaurus design, it looks very fat ass. It was said, the narrator said that it was 7 tons. I think it was a little less than that, 7 tons. It was,
Yeah. Yeah, like yeah, as good as the Ankylosaur design is, especially with the coloring, like I think the Ankylosaur would have been more like I think it would be more like I'm gonna show Ankylosaurs. Ah, the I'm gonna
so around 4.8 tons, not 7 tons. So Ankylosaurs should be less heavier than 7 tons. So that's an oversized Ankylosaurus in the documentary. It looks very weird looking as well.
Yeah,
And then the we get to see Torosaurus. Torosaurus looks pretty good. It's been stated that Torosaurus and Triceratops are not the same animal. Recently, back
they're
years
different
ago,
from each other,
yes, recently years ago, Jack Horner made an article that Triceratops and Torosaurus are the same animal.
which
But then,
is complete nonsense.
later on, yeah, but later on in the article, later on, it's been suggested that Torosaurus and Triceratops are completely different Chasmosaurian ceratopsians.
Oh, and speaking of walking with dinosaurs and ankylosaurs, the ankylosaur would have been more like this, like the one that I'm showing you. Couldn't I was about to find the Saurian one, but decided to stick with this one. It would have been like flat like this with the scoots and the tail,
Yeah,
rather than the one that we see in the documentary and all that stuff.
yeah, and of course that the one from the toy from Safari Limited. The
Yeah,
Ankylosaur, yeah, not Ankylosaur. And then we get to see the quote unquote Anatota Titan. Anatota Titan is an invalid genus, just like Anatosaurus was back in the day.
but it's
It's
anectons now.
Yeah, it's pronounced Emmontosaurus annectens. And
And speaking of Torosaurus, I like how they put the Torosaurus in Walking with Dinosaurs instead of your usual Triceratops type of stuff. Because, yeah, the only time that we see a Triceratops is with that carcass that the Tyrannosaur just killed.
yeah, but what I find really weird is that even though the male Tyrannosaurus killed a subadult Triceratops, it would have been very interesting that we get to see the injured Torosaurus getting killed by the male Tyrannosaurus.
Or a Tyrannosaur and Torosaur having a fight throughout the documentary. Like I seen those pictures before. Like it would have been really cool.
Yeah,
Or in that TV spot with the two Didylphodon talking and then insulting the Rex and all that.
yeah, um, yeah. It just like in the book, the male Tyrannosaurus did kill the Torosaurus, but it turns out I don't know why they used a Triceratops instead, but it is what it is. Um, and then we get to see our main character, the female, finding a mate, and they did their own thing. And then the female chases after the male, and the female gets pissed off, and the male just walks away. And then we get to see the hunt scene of the Dromio. I mean, not the hunt scene. We get to see the Dromaeosaur trying to grab the eggs, but the mother keeps watch, and she chases after she scares away the dromaeosaur, and then we get to see Didelphodons trying to steal the eggs, and the mother chases after them and has one. And then we get to see the night scene of the Archoraptors attacking the Torosaurus, which was pretty cool, but you kind of feel bad that this little fella was killed by the poor Ocaraptors. And then a Didelphid
Yeah.
savages the
It's
carcass.
kind of it's kind of funny that we don't see the baby Torosaur getting killed off by these two Dromaeosaurs. Just like with the Pulsiosuchus, with the Pulsarius, and the Tyrannosaur killing off the Triceratops. Like it's like all these cutscenes, and then next thing you know, characters getting killed off and all that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I know it's sad, but it would have been cool if we actually see what happens to those other characters rather than corpse or being injured and all that stuff.
yeah. And then we get to see the hunt scene of the mother Tyrannosaur hunting the Edmontosaurus, which was pretty good, I have to say. And
Because Tyrannosaurs had the largest bite force of any other land predator on Earth.
yes, and their diet was strict. Well, not strictly. Their diet was hadrosaurs like Edmontosaurus and other prey animals. And we get to see the babies. The babies are just chirping along and stuff. And the mother gives them the meat. One of them gets killed, and we get to see this with birds as well. Sometimes the weaker chick gets killed by its siblings. You know,
which is cannibalism.
yeah, they would have cannibalized as well. Although we didn't get to see it, and then we get to see the python, uh, which was pretty cool. And we see like the 3D animation style of the snake's vision.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, like a microscopic, like goggle things, but
Yeah,
it's vision and all that.
even though we don't know what snake's vision looks like. Um, and then we get to see the final scene when the mother Tyrannosaurus sacrifices herself against the Ankylosaurus, and she pays the ultimate price. She didn't start the fight. The Ankylosaurus just was scared
Yeah,
of the babies, and the mother, what she did, she had to protect her young from the Ankylosaurus, and she paid the ultimate price. And then later on, we get to see the mother dying and the chicks lying there motionless. And of course, we see the
which
asteroid.
is a pretty sad scene.
Yeah, and I have to say, the asteroid scene is actually one of the saddest out of all the most dinosaur documentaries. Um, and at least in the final scene of the episode, dinosaurs are still around today. The birds, and birds are dinosaurs.
Exactly.
And going back to Hell Creek shouldn't be covered in ash fields. It should be covered in more of a swampier terrain
Yeah,
areas like
lushy
Florida.
green place and
Yeah,
all that type of stuff. And granted, grass didn't exist in the dinosaur Mesozoic world until the present day, but there are some plant areas that resemble grass, like all those other stuff.
yeah. But grass was sort of around, just barely though, just a tiny bit. But anyways, yeah, I forgot about the that mistake there. Yeah, so otherwise the ep- the Walking with Dinosaurs was really good. Good story, good characters of the documentary, and everything about the story itself.
That seems really nice.
And
And
and it also picks their characters, unlike in Prehistoric Planet, which they go.
mhm.
Even though I love Prehistoric Planet, but they go by like different scenes of each episode. Like they go back and forth, sort of ish. Like in the Swamps episode with Pachycephalosaurus, and then later on T Rex. But no, in Walking with Dinosaurs, they just stick to one single character in a documentary, and that's why I love the Walking with series, because they pick a character.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because it's not just herbivores that we see in like from the Land Before Time, Dinosaur, the 2013 movie, as well as March of the Dinosaurs. They Walking with Dinosaurs decided to make things fair instead of uh, an animal's point of view and all that stuff. But it's not just herbivores that get more appearances and mainly focus on them. It's only with carnivores that get more appearances and stories on focus on them. Like the first episode is with See Will Fight This. The Battle of the Big Owl is with the Allosaurus. Death of the Dynasty is with Tyrannosaurus Rex. And and while the other episodes are good on their own, like Time of Titans mainly focus on Diplodocus, and Spirit of the Ice Forest is with the Anasaura. Uh, sorry if I'm and some other
You
random
also
adult
forgot
stuff.
Cruel Sea and Giant of the Skies, even though that they're not dinosaurs, but they're still predators
Yeah,
because they eat fish and squid and etc.
yeah, yeah. That is another thing that I have to point out here. But good point on that. And speaking of walking with dinosaurs, Tyrannosaurus, I think I would show you like this, like two Tyrannosauruses in the background of Time of Titans, which it would be really cool to see these guys come back and all that type of stuff, like
Yeah,
trailers or all that type of stuff. Like,
it would to see. I would love to see like them in an animation style um, of these two T Rexes fighting each other, but we didn't get that unfortunately.
yeah, which is, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not to no one no wonder why other dino documentaries decide to take inspiration of Walking with Dinosaurs, proving that Walking with Dinosaurs is good. Like when dinosaurs roamed America, Dinosaur Planet, Dinosaur Revolution, and not to mention Prehistoric Planet, of course, Planet Dinosaur. But back with Walking with Dinosaurs, Chased by
Walking with
Dinosaurs, and
Walking with Dinosaurs was also a big success as
yeah,
well. Walking with Dinosaurs also had its own sequels, their own specials, a prequel, Walking with Monsters. It also
Walking with
won,
Beast.
yeah, it also won the best awards on the BBC at the time and even on the Discovery Channel back then. Walking with Dinosaurs also had was very popular as well. There was a video not well, there was a video game.
Oh, they have a video game of Walking with Dinosaurs?
Yeah, on the PC, I believe. There was
Oh,
also
is it that Wonder Book of Walking with Dinosaurs?
no. Well, they have a. I don't.
Because
I don't know.
I checked the Wonder Book of Walking with Dinosaurs and you should check it out. It was really nice, especially with that best slot where he went through the. I know it has the title Walking with Dinosaurs, but you should check out the Wonder Book version. It's really nice.
Not the Wonder Book one. There is a literally
Oh, the
a
computer game
yeah,
where
a
you have
computer
to go
game. Yeah,
through
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
characters and all that stuff
yeah,
in their profile pics. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's one thing I have to bring up is that I remember back in my elementary school where I searched up the Walking with Dinosaurs website, and when I was playing the Planet Dinosaur theme, I mean the pro I mean the old Walking with Dinosaurs website was actually really cool, especially how it all happens in the series and all that stuff. And I
Indeed.
mean, it was really nice.
It also, yeah, and also the Walking with Dinosaurs website had some cool pictures as well. Like it shows the eyes of the dinosaurs,
And some
and
body parts, just
yeah,
like with Dinosaur Planet. And speaking of which, I also heard that in Pod's Travel, where they have these two Raptidon-like species, like one is black and the other one is green later on. Like that is, yeah, I have to say is that it's kind of like an inspiration from Walking with Dinosaurs. Like I think Dinosaur Planet took inspirations from Walking with Dinosaurs and then call it a day with the Raptidon, as they call it.
yeah, and they also before that as well. They also did this when dinosaurs rode in America because it was also very similar to Walking with Dinosaurs.
Yeah, and uh, and no wonder why so many people call it the American equivalent of Walking with Dinosaurs. More like a movie rather than a series.
Even though there's already an American version of Walking with Dinosaurs, the Discovery Channel version.
Yeah, yeah, like that one.
Yeah. But overall, Walking with Dinosaurs will always be the greatest dinosaur documentary ever, and I will live and die for this documentary.
Same here.
I will always live and die. That's how I respect the filmmakers, the the director, the narrators, well, yeah, the narrator and the Discovery Channel version too. Everything of The Walking with Dinosaurs, I will always live and love and die with this documentary. And
Same
who
here.
knows? Maybe someday, maybe I might go to some of their places. I probably doubt it though because they're far away. Just to look at where they shot and located.
Yeah. And
But
yeah,
I
and if
probably
I have,
doubt it.
like I said, if I have kids of my own, I'll probably show them the series Walking with Dinosaurs, both the series Chased by Dinosaurs and many more. And speaking of Walking with Dinosaurs, there's also this live tour that I wanted to show you on that, which I actually like the live tour of Walking with Dinosaurs, which is really amazing, and the dinosaur animatronics felt like they came right out of the series, but they upgraded them to make them look accurate, I guess. But yeah,
Oh, the live tour. Yes, I love that place. I love it. I love going there. It was awesome.
me too. And I actually like this Tyrannosaurus. This Tyrannosaurus right there, which
Before
is actually really amazing. And
before that they didn't put feathers on it.
yeah,
Went
I
there.
guess, but and I like the Raptors too. The
Speaking of
Raptors.
which, I will show you and the audience the Walking with Dinosaurs toy figure that I got at the Walking with Dinosaurs arena or the live
Yeah,
tour.
the live tour of Walking with Dinosaurs.
Oh, excuse me. Here,
Holy cow!
yeah,
I'm speechless about this.
yep.
So this is what
Unfortunately,
the this is what the Walking with Dinosaurs Rex looks like in that live tour show.
yeah, the toy one. It
I,
sort of has the Walking with Dinosaurs T Rex ish face, but it looks all right. But I still got it. And it also, I remember back when I was a kid, they also had the Walking with Dinosaurs T Rex back. So yeah, so I should have kept it, but it is what it is. And I also like how other companies also based on the Walking with Dinosaur toys as well, like Beasts of the Mesozoic, which I got like last year or almost last year as well. And
oh
thank God.
yeah, the Walking with Dinosaurs T Rex, and speak not to be off topic with that, but I just wanted to point out that that Tyrannosaur figure that I had. Don't you think that it kind of resembles when dinosaurs roamed America because of the yellowish, brownish coloring with the stripes and all that?
Color
Because I
wise, yes, a
not
little
the
bit.
modeling, but the coloring.
Yeah, color wise, yes, at a little bit,
Yeah, and
just a little.
yeah, and I've been thinking about the Tyrannosaurs from when dinosaurs roamed America quite a while, quite a long one, and might do a video on that. But yeah, walking with dinosaurs. Yeah, what else is there to say?
Um, yeah, Walking with Dinosaurs. Without Walking with Dinosaurs, it would be a lot different.
Yeah,
You know, we wouldn't have a sequel. We wouldn't have a prequel. We wouldn't have other documentaries that were based on the Walking with series, like they did with when Dinosaurs Rode America, Dinosaur Planet, Planet Dinosaur, and etc.
yeah, and speaking of the directors of Walking with Dinosaurs, Tim Haynes actually pulled it off with both CGI and effects of the dinosaurs, mix them together and call it a day, like Steven Spielberg did with Jurassic Park, like a
And
few years ago, like where they did the CG and the animatronics for the dinosaurs and call it a day. So no
and
wonder why Walking with Dinosaurs took inspiration from there.
and Jasper James as well, who was the not the director, but who was the producer of the documentary as well. Who
Man,
also,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And after that, they also did Beasts and Monsters, and also with Prehistoric Park. Not Tim Haynes wasn't there, but little fun fact too, Jasper James was there, and I think he was the director of that series or the documentary, not Tim Haynes.
Yeah, that is really nice and really amazing. I mean, Walking with Dinosaurs is just as successful as Jurassic Park.
Indeed.
Just as successful as those two. Like, no wonder why both Jurassic Park and Walking with Dinosaurs would always be the fan favorite and the best dino medias in the 90s and all that stuff.
Yep.
On point with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, We're Back at Dinosaur, and some other dino medias from the 90s.
And let's not forget, well, even though it came out in '89 or actually '88, Land
Yeah,
Before
Land
Time.
Before Time. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, but it came out during the '80s. But still, it was still pretty good. Um, yeah. So walking with dinosaurs will always be a passion with me until the day
Yeah.
I die. Like I said, and I'm glad that my babysitter got me into walking with dinosaurs
Yeah.
because without it, I would have focused on other dinosaur documentaries later on.
Yeah,
Even
same
though,
with my father, because my father introduced me to Walking with Dinosaurs. First, he introduced me to Walking with Monsters, and then Walking with Dinosaurs. I haven't seen Walking with Beasts at the time, but I do remember seeing the clips of Walking with Beasts, especially with New Dawn and Mammoth Journey.
even though that, even though that before walking with dinosaurs, I was also into another dinosaur documentary called The Dinosaurs, the PBS series. But
Uh,
we'll talk about maybe later.
yeah, and speaking of which, yeah, before Walking with Dinosaurs, before Walking with Dinosaurs, while Walking with Monsters, when dinosaurs roamed America, that one. Like, I remember watching When Dinosaurs Roamed America so many times as a kid, so many times in a row, even from the 2010s, and remember using tinfoil and making dinosaur models based off from that documentary. It was really
And
nostalgic.
also it also was into that documentary. Even I had it on VHS years ago as well.
Yeah,
But more of that later.
yeah, it is what it is, but man, I feel like watching some YouTube videos of the Walking with Dinosaurs live tour. Not to mention with some parts of Walking with Dinosaurs and all that stuff, which is
I
really
would like
amazing.
to as well.
And not to mention, I also heard that the director Tim Haynes was making another dinosaur series this year, a new one, which
Yeah,
was
I'm hyped that there's going to be like another, I guess, Walking with Dinosaurs story. Now, it's probably not going to be in the Walking with trilogy,
it's going to
but
be somewhat different, like any other media and all that stuff. And if
but
that comes
still
out,
be
I'm taking it over Life on Our Planet any day.
yeah, well, we have to see until it comes out. When it comes out, we'll find out. And who knows, maybe it might be good as Prehistoric Planet. We don't know. But
Yeah, and pay homages to Walking with Dinosaurs because that's what Prehistoric Planet did. It paid homages to Walking with Dinosaurs and yeah, and
yeah,
managed to do its own thing.
yeah. Well, I gotta go. It's a nice review.
Yeah, and a nice podcast and thanks and good job mentioning about the science and the facts and all those other stuff and some debates going on and your moments and all those other stuff. I mean, it really is amazing and
Yeah,
because Walking with Dinosaurs kicks ass big time.
yeah.
It
It
kicks ass as a dinosaur media. It kicks ass as a documentary, and it also kicks ass as any other dino media in a whole new level.
yeah. I love Walking with Dinosaurs. But I'll see you later. Tomorrow I have to interview a friend of mine. So yeah, You take care and have a
No
nice.
problem. All right, then. Have a good one, Tyrannotherium. And life would find a way. And speaking of podcasts, I feel like I'm going to end off this live stream. And it was really nice having Tyrannotherium in. And, well, I got to get going. So, yeah. Please, like I said, please sure like and subscribe. More videos to come in the near future as well as other things. And one more thing I have to point out to Walking with Dinosaurs. Take notes, Jurassic Fight Club, because Walking with Dinosaurs kicks ass. Big time. And that should do the trick. And, well, one more thing I have to point out is happy 25th anniversary, Walking with Dinosaurs. Bingo! Okay, Bang. Now let's end off this live stream, and as for the rest of you, this will be the end of our tale. Well then, alright then, let's fade the black and... Well, whoops, forgot about that part, and let's end this off. LBT here, later.